I found my wife's photo album, and now I'm tempted to cheat on her. But before you judge, let me take you back to the beginning. Isabel and I met under the most unusual of circumstances, one that still haunts me. It was during our freshman year at college. A girl we both knew had been found brutally murdered in her dorm, stabbed 42 times. Her eyes, mouth, and nose were missing. The killer had taken them. The strangest thing? Not a single person in that crowded dorm had heard her scream. I was there for Isabel as the police scrambled to find the college butcher, as the press dubbed him. He struck again, the same gruesome MO, and again in another town over. Fear gripped our campus, and Isabel started spending more time at my place. What we had was perfect, too perfect. But in the naivety of youth, I ignored the signs. A few years after college, we got married. I became a software developer, and she landed a job as a high school teacher. We bought a house in a quiet, safe neighborhood, living the dream, or so I thought. For 10 years, everything was fine. But 3 weeks ago, I made a discovery that shattered everything. It started when I heard something skittering in our attic one morning. I mentioned it to Isabel over dinner that night. Her reaction was strange, too strange. Her face went pale, and she stared at me with a look I couldn't place. "Don't go up there," she said, almost pleading. The insistence in her voice made me uneasy, but I promised her I wouldn't. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. The next morning, while she was at work, I couldn't resist. I climbed the attic stairs, my heart racing. The attic was larger than I remembered, eerily quiet. Dust coated the floor, undisturbed for years. In the far corner sat 5 boxes, Isabel's things. One box in particular called to me, the one she had been so adamant I avoid. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was an old photo album, its leather cover worn and scratched. At first, the photos seemed innocent enough. Isabel's childhood, her family, her early years. But something was off. In every photo, there was a shadowy figure in the background, a girl who looked like Isabel but wasn't. Her face was always angry, lurking at the edges, staring directly into the camera. With each turn of the page, the figure got closer. By the last few pages, she was standing right behind Isabel, her cold eyes piercing through the photo. My heart pounded in my chest as a wave of nausea washed over me. What the hell was this? Who was this other girl? When Isabel came home that night, I confronted her. She turned pale again, but this time her fear was palpable. I showed her the album, and she recoiled as if it had burned her. "I've never seen that before in my life," she said flatly, then stormed out of the room. I chased after her, demanding answers. She slapped me. My wife, who had never raised a hand in anger, hit me with such force it left me speechless. As she stormed upstairs, I heard it again, the skittering, but this time it was coming from our bedroom. I raced after her, but when I reached the room, she was gone. The room was empty, but the skittering continued. A cold hand suddenly grabbed my ankle from under the bed. I screamed and kicked free, stumbling backward. Isabel appeared at the door, her face pale and tear-streaked. "I told you not to go up there," she sobbed. "Now you've let her out." She dragged me outside and into the car, frantically explaining. "She's always been there, always angry. You see, I'm the twin that survived." The air was thick with tension as she drove, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. "She's an evil spirit, Jack. She wants my life. She wants to replace me. That album, it was how I kept her trapped. Every picture was a piece of her prison." A chill crept down my spine. "What happens now?" I asked, my voice shaking. "She'll come for me. She won't stop until she takes everything." That's when I saw her, Isabel's doppelganger, in the rearview mirror. She was grinning, her face twisted in malice. I yelled, but it was too late. The car swerved, and everything went black. I woke up in the hospital. The police officer at my bedside delivered the news like a hammer to my chest. Isabel hadn't survived the crash. But then he asked something that sent my world spinning. "Mr. Taylor, we need to ask about your DNA showing up at several crime scenes. Specifically, we're looking into your connection to the college butcher murders." My heart stopped. I looked at him in horror. "What? No, that's not possible." The officer's eyes narrowed. "Sir, we have evidence that suggests otherwise." As the weight of his words sank in, I realized the terrible truth. My wife's twin wasn't just a spirit. She was real, and she had been killing all along, waiting for her chance to take over Isabel's life. And now she was coming for mine.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more. Things are about to get intense.